quite pretty. What's up everyone, my name's Kate, thanks for joining me today. And if you couldn't tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be doing the first episode in a little series that I'm starting called Books and Looks, where I talk about books whilst doing a little get ready with me as well. Today I'm going to be talking about The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I'm probably going to be doing a little bit of a plot summary and then seeing where it goes. This video has absolutely no plan, no script, whatever. I'm just going straight off the noggin. If that's not something that's up your alley, maybe don't watch this. I'll see you in the next video. Hope you really enjoy it. And take it away, Naked Mole Rat Kate. Okay. Thank you, future me, for that amazing introduction. So yeah, Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I really enjoyed it. Well, when I first started it, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did. Mainly because there was a lot going on. There was a lot of information sort of thrown at you in the beginning. Obviously, because like world building, like you have to kind of know what's going on. Sort of like politically, like there's a lot going on in terms of like the different houses. Because of that, I'm not very good with retaining information if it's written down in front of me. It's also the reason why I forget literally every single detail whenever I'm reading a book that has a very big political and just a very like intricate world, if that makes sense. So the book is split up into parts and each part refers to like a phase of the moon, which is kind of cool. But once a new part starts, we get this thing called an interlude, and basically it's sort of like a flashback, but it's told in third person and it adds context to like the story that's running through the novel, if that makes sense. The first book is told completely from Araya's point of view. So Araya is our protagonist. She is a human girl who got adopted by the Vampire King. Good lord. So the whole, I'm not even going to try and explain like the whole politics situation of this book, because I genuinely I was so lost at the start of the book. I didn't know who was coming, who was going. The book opens and in the first interlude we find out that Araya was adopted by the Vampire King when he was like looking through Rishan territory. So you have, so there are like three houses. You've got the House of Night, the House of Shadow, and the House of Blood. And if you're from the House of Night, you're known as like Nightborn, and you're typically like, they're known as like the high age vampires. If you're from the House of Shadow, they're known as like Rishan. House of Blood, Bloodborn, and that's kind of what they're always referred to as, like Bloodborn. But I think because the House of Blood is like a separate territory, whereas the House of Night and the House of Shadow kind of like coexist. It's sort of like England and Wales, if you catch my drift. And then like the House of Blood is like France. The House of Night and the House of Shadow have interesting relationships. Before the Vampire King became the Vampire King, so the Vampire King is called Vincent, right? Well, I'm just going to refer to him as Vincent. And Vincent is a high-age vampire because he's from the House of Night. Arbitraries used to be ruled by this guy called Neculi, I'm pretty sure. And he was a Rishan, so he was from the House of Shadow. This, I'll get to this bit in a bit because it's like the whole book. But in order to explain this first bit, I need to, okay? Follow me and we will end up where we need to end up, okay? Don't ask questions. Basically, there's this thing called the Kajari, which is almost like the Hunger Games set in this place called the Moon Palace. And people can choose to enter, so it's not really like the Hunger Games, but it's Hunger Games-esque. So the Kajari is like a tournament, I guess, where they have like different trials. And I found it really interesting because each of the trial like every trial in the Kajari is set to like follow the story of their main goddess Nyaxia. Each of the trials is set to follow her journey into becoming the all-powerful goddess that she's known as now, because she used to be a lesser known god and was like just not seen as powerful as she is now, basically. The trials are set to either kill you off or make you kill someone else. The reason I mentioned the Kajari was because before Vincent became king, he took part in the Kajari, and if you win the Kajari, you meet Nyaxia and she grants you one wish, and it could be literally anything. Vincent won the Kajari, he got loads of power from Nyaxia, and then went and attacked the Rishan territory, which is where the book, which we then find out is where the book opens when he meets Araya. He looks at her and is like, yep, that baby's mine, you're coming with me. And so he takes her back to the castle, and absolute twerps living here. Yeah, where did I get to? Oh yeah, he takes her back to Sivranaj, which is like the city where all the High-Aj live, I guess. So yeah, that's just the interlude, and that was just context to make sure you guys understood where the hell this book is going, because without that context, you don't learn that context, by the way, about like Vincent and the Kajari and all of that. You're gonna have to just ignore the dog barking, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't learn all that stuff about Vincent and the Kajari and how Vincent came to power until like the end of the book. So you have all of this like stuff going on with little context, and you're like, okay, cool. You're kind of just thrown straight in the deep end. And I mean straight in the deep end because the first chapter opens with Araya killing a vampire, and it's a way that she can exert her power, because as a human living in a vampire realm, she feels very powerless, because obviously to everyone else she's food. So she takes it upon herself and she becomes almost like this mercenary, goes around killing vampires that are trying to feed on humans. We then go back. She stops off. I don't know how much of this plot I'm going to tell you. I don't want to do like a whole plot breakdown, but basically loads of stuff happens and she ends up entering the Kajari, which is like the thing that she's been training for her whole life. There's like a weird obsession with her teeth, right? Because when they first met, she bit his finger. She was a kid and he like reached out and she was like, chomp. So yeah, he has like this weird obsession with her teeth, and I guess it's because it like highlights the difference between like vampires and humans. Like for a human, she has very sharp teeth, and that's meant to be like a metaphor for like she's very strong. I look quite pretty. She enters the Kajari. I've basically missed out a bit, but you don't really need to know that bit because I'm not telling you the whole plot breakdown. And it's set in this place called the Moon Palace, and it's sort of like where they have to stay. It's like their arena, and they have to stay there for like the full like months that they're there or whatever, because each trial takes place during a different phase of the moon, and she's the only human in the Kajari, which is known for spilling blood. And if we know anything about vampires and humans, human blood smells delish.
This smells delish.
Now, some of the trials, I was a bit confused with what was going on. I think it was the first trial. The first trial is you basically just have to survive the night in the Moon Palace. And the Moon Palace is well known for changing like its interior all the time. But anyway, the first trial is to survive the night. It's pitch black, there are no lights, and obviously because Araya is human, she doesn't have the night vision that vampires do, so she's just going around like feeling walls and stuff and is like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. She's like, listen to the screams, listen to the screams. She runs towards the screaming because she's like, that's where all the fighting is, I need to be there. And she runs down this hallway in the pitch black, by the way, and she bumps into this person. We don't know who it is. All we know is that it's a man, and he goes, they're dead, like they're dying, like you don't, if you go down there you will die, like don't do it. I know you're human, like, don't do it. It's a bloodbath down there. Araya stabs the man in the leg and is like, do you know what? I don't care. And she books it down the hallway. And then they get told that for the half moon trial, right, so this is like the third trial, the contestants have to form an alliance with someone. Then after that, they can like kill each other or whatever. Araya's like hiding in the greenhouse. It's like her safe bit, because when the sun comes up, no one obviously in their right mind would go in a greenhouse because they'd die. And then one night she hears a familiar voice. And who is it? It's the man who told her not to run down the hallway because she'd die. He comes to her and is like, I want to form an alliance with you for the half moon trial, who we now find out his name is Rain. He has another partner in the Kajari with him, this girl called Mish. He's like, you can join me and my friend, like, I think we would both really, you know, work well together and everything. And Araya basically tells him to go shove it up where the sun don't shine. I forgot to tell you this. In one of the past trials, right, Araya got badly torn up, basically. Rain, before he leaves, is like, but just so you know, like, you smell delicious. So everyone in this building can smell you because you're bleeding. So if you change your mind, I'm the first in line. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. And then he disappears. The night goes on. She's like minding her own business in the greenhouse, and then she gets attacked by a vampire who's in bloodlust, which basically means they're not really functioning as like normal. They're just so focused on like blood and needing to get blood. And so this vampire attacks Araya in the greenhouse when the sun's coming up, and he's like getting burnt and he just doesn't care. He's like trying to eat her or whatever. She is like dying because the vampire like kind of tore her up in like the scuffle as she was trying to get away. She's like on the floor and like bangs on the door and then just like passes out. Hi, it's Editing Kate. I forgot to say that before the bit, I missed out a bit. Basically, after the attack, she like tries to get to Rain's apartment, like where he said that he was staying. And so that's like what happens in between her getting torn up and then her on the floor banging on a door. Just in case you're wondering what door she was banging on, it was the door to Rain's apartment because she managed to get there before she passed out. Felt like I should clarify that because for some reason I just didn't say it when I was filming this. So yeah, carry on. And then she wakes up and then she agrees to work with Rain and Mish, but she doesn't trust them. They train together, they have arguments because Araya's still not trusting Rain. And Mish is so cute. She's like this happy-go-lucky little like bundle of sunshine. She's just like, she loves life even though she's a vampire. Araya kind of gets like quite agitated, and so she goes off to kill some vampires in Sivranaj. She does her thing, and as she turns around, Rain's there. They have a little chat, and then they decide to start killing vampires together because we find out that Rain is turned. So he wasn't born a vampire. He became a vampire because someone bit him, drained his blood, and then he drank blood. And we don't know who turned him yet. We find that out like at the end of the book. And then by the time the half moon trial comes around, they're working pretty well together. And Mish is like sat in the corner like, oh my god, oh my god. One night, Rain and Araya are out in the streets. They hear an explosion and they turn and the moon palace is on fire.
Somebody call 911. Shawty fire burning on the dance floor.
So they run back to the moon palace because Mish is still in the moon palace. Like she opted to stay behind because she wanted to like work on her magic or something. One of the towers that they were like staying in had been like blown up to pieces, and there was fire everywhere, and then there were demons in the apartment where Rain, Araya and Mish stayed. Mish is like on the floor unconscious, like all of her intestines are hanging out. It's a pretty gross thing. I'm missing out a lot of this stuff, but I wasn't really meant to be doing a plot summary, it's just how this has gone. But yeah, so Rain is like, okay, I'm gonna have to get you guys out of here, like, but I can't carry both of you. I'm not that strong, like, I can't do it. Like, I have to do it one at a time. And so Araya's like, go. Like, it's fine. I will stay here. Just make it quick. Like, get Mish out of here. Come back for me. Just don't take too long, because I'd rather not die. Okay, I'm back. I had to leave. Rain takes Mish out of the Moon Palace, and Araya is still in the room, and she's trying to like fight off all of these demons. And she like gets really frightened that she's gonna die, and so she just like explodes in light. Rain comes back and takes her out of the Moon Palace, and he takes her to where Mish is. She's not doing too good. Loads of like contestants in the Kajari died in the attack, and a lot of them were like wounded, and so the people in charge are like, if you wanna go because of your wounds, then you can ask Nyaxia for clearance to like leave the competition. They do it on behalf, so Araya and Rain do it on behalf of Mish, because obviously she is not conscious at this point, and it gets denied. Araya goes to the minister's office in like the big temple thing, and she lets him suck on her in exchange for Mish's departure from the Kajari. After the Half Moon trial, everything goes to shit. Alliances are broken, alliances are formed, there's betrayal. I'm not going to spoil the ending because it is wild. It goes 0 to 100 so like quickly, it's unreal. But yeah, so I've told you about the first half. I'm not going to tell you about the second half because that's kind of when spoilers and everything sort of come into play. But I did really enjoy the book. The Carissa Broadbent's writing style is something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I found myself lapping it up. Like, it was a page turner. I'm currently reading the second book in the duology, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I do recommend it if you like fantasy that isn't driven by romance. The romance is very subtle and only comes into effect towards the end of the book. The majority of it is definitely plot driven, politics driven, very much to do with the world that the book is set in. For me, there isn't really anything bad that I can say about the book, just because it's an easy read. At the start, you're sort of, as I said at the beginning of the video, like you kind of get thrown in quite quickly, but once you get like the information and everything like down, then it is a really great read, and it's probably one of my favorites of the year so far. If you've seen my mid-year like freak out tag thing, I spoke about the characterization of Rain and Araya in The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and so if you want to hear more about what I think about the characters as a whole, especially Rain and Araya, you can go watch that little segment in that video. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the book. I want to read Daughter of No Worlds, which is also by Carissa Broadbent. This video was very strange in that I wanted to talk about the book, but I didn't really know how to go about it. I didn't want to tell you the whole plot because obviously I am aware of spoilers, and I'm aware that a lot of people haven't read the book yet, and so I kind of want to keep an air of mystery about it while still telling you about stuff that does happen in the book, so then you can kind of gauge from a more detailed recount of the book whether this is something for you or not, rather than going into it blind, making it halfway and going absolutely not, this is not for me. So that's kind of why I did half plot summary, half not. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've read The Serpent and the Wings of Night, let me know how you found it down in the comments below. Please, if you're gonna mention spoilers or anything, please do put spoiler warning at the top of your comment, just because I am aware that, you know, we don't want to ruin it for other people that haven't read it yet, you know what I mean? So yeah, let me know what you thought of the book. Let me know if you have any other recommendations that are kind of like this duology that you think I would enjoy. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!